Hello dear viewers and welcome back to our channel, the place where palace headlines meet real-world consequences. Today we bring you an in-depth look at a royal engagement that went far beyond ceremonial smiles and polite speeches. King Charles III has just hosted a Youth Opportunity Summit at St. James's Palace, and the decisions taken within those centuries-old walls could shape Britain's approach to knife crime, unemployment, and social mobility for a generation. Pour yourself a cup of tea, settle in, and let's unpack exactly what happened, why it matters, and how it might affect the streets outside your own front door. From Renaissance stones to modern missions, St. James's Palace is no stranger to high strategy. Henry VIII built it as a retreat in 1531, Elizabeth I based her war council here before the Armada, Queen Victoria walked these corridors when she was still a princess. But the summit convened last Thursday felt less like a nostalgic tableau and more like a startup incubator. Students in varsity jackets rubbed shoulders with cabinet ministers. A Grammy-winning producer streamed in by video link to offer mixing tips. Half the attendees had never stepped inside a royal building before. By the end, they were trading WhatsApp numbers with Charles's policy team. That melding of generations and social strata is precisely the king's point. If the crown can't convene unlikely allies, who can? The King's Trust, 49 years of second chances. To appreciate why Charles cares so deeply, rewind to 1976. Britain was mired in recession, strikes, and youth unemployment topping 1 million. A 20-something Prince of Wales toured community centres where jobless teens played cards all afternoon. He asked what would help them most. A small grant, they said, and an adult who believes in us. That conversation birthed the Prince's Trust, now the King's Trust, which has since distributed more than £1.6 billion in startup money and training to nearly 1 million young people. Critics once mocked it as pocket money philanthropy. Then came success story after success story. Craig David received music production gear. Fashion designer Julian MacDonald funded his first runway show. And, of course, Idris Elba, a DJ from East London whose £1,500 trust grant covered drama school fees and train tickets to auditions. Fast forward to 2024, Elba is a Golden Globe winner, Marvel superhero, and United Nations Goodwill Ambassador. His presence at the summit proves the Trust's thesis in human form. Knife crime reality check. The numbers Charles reviewed that morning were brutal. Last year England and Wales recorded 49,000 knife crime incidents, 1/3 of suspects were under 20. Emergency room admissions for blade injuries have doubled since 2013. London reporters speak of postcode wars where a quarter-mile boundary decides whether a teenager feels safe walking home from school. The economic fallout is staggering, £3 billion annually in policing, healthcare, and lost productivity. Yet behind every statistic is a story. One delegate, Okeem, recounted watching his best friend bleed out on a bus stop in Peckham. "We called it a territory clash," he told the room, but really it was boys fighting over reputation because opportunity felt tiny. The king listened, pen poised, and asked what would have diverted them. "A studio," Okeem replied. "A place to be loud without violence." That answer fed directly into the summit's flagship initiative. Creative Futures, Beats Over Blades. Creative Futures is the summit's headline commitment, a 3-month intensive where participants learn audio engineering, digital art, film editing, stage lighting, and entrepreneurial basics, plus mental health counseling and financial literacy sessions. The inaugural cohort launches in September with 30 students, but the scale-up plan aims for 3,000 participants by the end of 2025. £5 million from the King's Trust reserves. £3 million pledged by corporate partners, Universal Music, Adobe, Sony. £2 million in matched government grants. In kind, 20 high-profile mentors, from Idris Elba to grime producer Skepta, donating masterclasses. Each graduate leaves with an industry-vetted portfolio and a £1,000 microgrant to buy gear or rent a rehearsal space. Crucially, the program measures success not just in job placements but in reductions of reoffending, school exclusions, and A&E knife-wound admissions within participants' neighbourhoods. Independent researchers from King's College London will publish 6-month and 12-month impact reports, ensuring accountability beyond palace press releases. Elba Hope Foundation and the Power of Testimony. Idris Elba's parallel anti-knife crime campaign began as a social media challenge, #Don't Stab Your Future, and quickly evolved into a coalition of bereaved parents, youth pastors, athletes, and grime artists. The campaign's cornerstone is survivor testimony. At the summit, attendees watched a short film titled Empty Seat, in which mothers read text messages sent to sons who never made it home. No lecture could rival that emotional punch. The king acknowledged the film's rawness. "Statistics persuade the mind," he said, "but stories persuade the heart." He then committed Palace social channels, 32 million followers across Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, to feature one survivor story per month, driving awareness where youths already scroll. Critics call it royal image management, supporters call it using privilege for maximum amplification. Either way, the algorithm will now serve knife crime realities to audiences far beyond inner-city postcodes. Government on the hook. Home Secretary Lara Whitfield could not leave the room without promises. She agreed to pilot Creative Saturdays in 20 high-risk secondary schools, where local artists deliver workshops in unused classrooms. The Education Secretary pledged to expand alternative provision slots to ensure participants don't lose academic credits while in Creative Futures. A Treasury liaison hinted at tax incentives for private studios offering discounted youth hours. None of this is law yet, but summit minutes are publicly archived. Lobbying groups will hold ministers to their word. Media whirlwind and public reaction. By nightfall, #Creative Futures trended #1 on UK Twitter, while tabloids split along predictable lines. The Daily Mail lauded Charles for taking a tougher stance on street crime than some politicians. The Guardian applauded the arts agenda but warned of privatized welfare masked by celebrity glam. On TikTok, a clip of the king fist-bumping a teenage beatboxer hit 2 million views in 8 hours. YouGov polling the next morning showed 74% public approval for the initiative, cutting across party and regional lines. Where does William fit? Absent on official duty in Cornwall, the Prince of Wales nevertheless teleconferenced into the summit debrief that evening. Sources say he praised the metrics approach. William's Earthshot Prize also hinges on quantified impact. Expect the brothers' calendars to dovetail, William tackling eco-anxiety, Charles tackling street anxiety, both addressing the root emotion that hopelessness breeds violence. The synergy counters gossip of generational rifts and frames the monarchy as a united front. Beyond Britain, Commonwealth ripples. Knife crime spikes are not a uniquely British issue. Toronto, Sydney, and Kingston have all recorded youth violence surges. Commonwealth High Commissioners at the summit asked for Creative Futures toolkits to replicate locally. Charles offered a seed fund match up to £500,000 for any member nation piloting a version within 18 months. If even 3 countries take him up on it, the program becomes a global export stamped Made in Britain, inspired by the Crown. The road ahead and your role. Summits fade, implementation grinds. So mark these checkpoints. September, first cohort intake, independent baseline survey begins. December, interim statistics on attendance and engagement. March 2025, parliamentary progress review, funding refresh. Summer 2025, public concert in Hyde Park featuring graduate artists. Viewers, you can influence stage 1. The King's Trust is recruiting volunteer mentors in music, coding, graphic design, and social media marketing. If you have a skill and a Saturday morning to spare, visit their website. Background checks are fast-tracked for this program. In one sense, Thursday was just another date in the royal diary. Yet the summit's message cuts deeper. A modern monarchy earns relevance not by parading gold coaches but by showing up where despair lives and betting its prestige on concrete change. Charles could have spent his reign polishing ceremonial silver. Instead, he is spending political capital on recording studios and Safe Street pledges. Will it work? We will see, cohort by cohort, police report by police report. But for the first time in years, teenagers from Tottenham to Tyneside know that the man who wears the crown has heard their verses and answered with a beat of his own. What's your verdict? Visionary move or photo op with famous friends? Do arts programs truly undercut gang recruitment, or must reform start with housing and wages? Scroll down, drop a comment, and join the debate. While